Hey there, my nature loving friends. If you're new here, my name is Jackie, and I was just at the plant store and I found horseradish root. Now this was only $4, which is actually quite a lot cheaper than it was in the grocery store, because you can buy horseradish root from the grocery store and pot that up as well. But I thought, $4 is a pretty good deal for horseradish. Horseradish reminds me of my grandparents. They used to harvest wild horseradish in their ditches in Snowdon, Saskatchewan. So I remember making horseradish as a kid, which was very, very potent. And yeah, I'm excited to grow this and try to make some. I tried to pick the best one out of it was in a box of sawdust. And I do notice that there's a little bit of mold on the end here that I will cut off. But you can see it's starting to kind of come up already. So what I can do with this, if I wanted to make more than one plant, I could actually divide this into, like, cut maybe 3 or 4 pieces out of this lengthwise. So I'd cut it down and then let it cure, like let the sides dry a little bit before planting it, and then I could have like 3 or 4 plants. But I don't want to do that, so I'm just gonna let this one grow as big as possible. Then maybe next year I'll divide it, because I would like to have some horseradish by this fall to be able to eat. So I've got a black pot over there. I'm in my sandy little pile here, and I'm going to strain out my rocks. I'm going to fill it half with the sand, and then I'm going to add some potting mix, and I'm going to get this planted. So I'll show you how I do that. So one thing I really love about perennials is that they're not really picky about their soil. I was just going to use all my potting mix, but potting mix is expensive and my pot is quite big. So I figured, I may as well use what I have. And what I have is sand. It really doesn't take too long to fill up these pots. It's a little bit, like it's just been raining, so a little bit harder to dig. Or is it easier to dig when the soil's wet? I don't know. Honestly, if it wasn't a root, I'd probably just be picking out like the big rocks and would just be fine with having some rocks in the soil, because that is what I have on my property, is just lots and lots of rocks. Okay, I've got all of my sand here, which I keep calling this like my sandy soil, but I feel like it's just sand. But I mean, things do grow in it, so I guess. Now I have some potting mix here, and I'm just gonna mix this in. I went to like 3 different stores to try to find a peat-free potting mix, because I just don't like the environmental damage that is caused by harvesting peat. And I couldn't find one. So I need to do a bit more research on good brands, because BC does actually have a lot of more local brands and big box store brands and whatnot, but yeah, I couldn't find one that happened to be peat free. So this is a Pro Mix, and I probably should have mixed it outside because it's easier to mix in a big container. Actually, maybe I'll okay, it's all mixed. Now I'm just gonna scrape off that moldy piece, because I don't want too many exposed open pieces. So I want these little pieces to be up, and it likes to be grown on an angle, like a 45-degree angle. So I'm just gonna put it in like so and cover it up. And then I'm going to add more to the top here, because it needs to be about 2 inches below the ground. All right, that's it. Now I'm going to give it a good water, and I'm going to label it so I get what it is, and I'll put it in the garden. You can plant this, like, it doesn't matter if it freezes, because our last frost date I think is like May 2nd or something here. It's fine with frost. I mean, it grows in Saskatchewan in the ditches, so it's pretty hardy. I made sure I had a big enough pot that the root can grow, because this is a root vegetable, like you're harvesting the root, not the leaves. So you got to make sure you've got your pot big enough. I could plant this directly in the ground, but again, it's a perennial that will spread everywhere. So unless you really, really like horseradish, you probably should try to contain it as best you can. I might actually find a spot on my property where I will just let it go wild. But I want to make sure I've got my house done first, and kind of my permaculture orchards set out where I want them to be, And then I'm just gonna let these plants grow wild and we'll see what happens. While also not being invasive, because that's important too. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.